but I do know some, and there's always been times when we're hanging out and I say something or talk about a game I'm playing, and you're just like, I have no idea what you just said. Like, what are those words? So, I thought it could be a fun way to, I don't want to sound like, oh yeah, I'm gonna teach you some words today, but I guess I might. But anyways, we're gonna make a little game of it, and I will say a word, and then you will try to guess what it is, knowing it's some sort of gaming term, and then, I'll either give you clues or just tell you what it is. It is all just for good fun and some laughs, and hopefully can be simultaneously relaxing and entertaining for you all. Thanks for being here, and do you feel prepared?
I'm ready to do my best.
Nice, that's all we can ask for. So I have some words in this notebook, and I hope I do an okay job of explaining what they are, because some of them I swear I use, but I know I've used a lot of them incorrectly too, since I'm still pretty new, but anyways, it's all just for fun. Okay, so the first word is mob. Mob. M-O-B.
And it has a different meaning in this context than a real world context.
Yes.
Is it an acronym?
Actually, I don't know. It might be.
Is it most ornery boss?
Shockingly, no, it's not that.
Oh,
Let me tell you in a sentence, or like give an example.
Sure.
I came across a pack of mobs, but they were really easy to defeat.
you're in a game where you have to plant crops or agriculture.
That's so funny, but unfortunately, no.
You said it was going to be easy.
In no part of my mind did I think you would connect it to agriculture, but that's pretty good. So, aggro, I'll use it in a sentence. Or like, what it's applied to. You can get the aggro of mobs or a boss.
Is this if you vanquish the mob or boss, you get whatever health or weapons they have?
No, that is something that happens, but it's not called aggro. Aggro is, so it comes from the word, like, aggression.
You can get their aggression.
You can trigger or be like the focus of a mob or a boss or an NPC, their aggro. If sometimes you come just within a certain distance of them, or if you attack them, basically all aggro is you being the focus of their aggression. So, like, sometimes if you walk past someone, they won't be aggroed, but if you like whack them, then they'll be aggroed and they'll like follow you and try to, their AI will be focused on you. Yeah. So basically, if you're
started saying it incorrectly or like slightly in a context that doesn't make sense, and kind of did it like ironically, where I'd say things like, oh, that's MOP, but it's not. Just kind of, I mean, probably did it like genuinely making a mistake at first and then just did it again on purpose. But anyways, this is bothering me so much because I know that I've talked with you and our brother about what this means, and now I'm trying to tell you trying to like original boss. That's not it. OP, not B. P. Oh. OP. Is original the O? No.
It's the O is over.
Over. Player. Power. Overpowered. I didn't remember that.
Okay. Overpowered. I guess from there, do you know what that means? Like,
You're overpowered.
I guess pretty much, yeah. Basically, like something is disproportionately powerful compared to other things. Okay. Next up is the word tank. Tank. T-A-N-K.
Tank.
And this, I'll give you a clue to start because I feel like that would help. But it's like a role you can take on as a player, often in like co-op or when you're playing with other real purple people. Real purple people. Purple people eater.
If you were to take on the role of a tank, or just tank,
I'd say tank.
a tank, are you the big, obnoxious, creating a lot of damage? Like I'm thinking like barbarian parallel kind of thing, like you inflict a lot of damage for the rest of the players that you're with.
No.
Okay.
Good try.
Thank you.
Good try. Do you want me to tell you or do you want to give another guess?
Okay, my other thought for tank would be maybe if you were a tank, you could sacrifice yourself and purposefully fail really badly so the rest of the players could succeed and move forward.
Closer.
Okay.
So basically, a tank is someone who, it's usually like you make your character build, like you put the right points and stats to be a tank, and basically you would prioritize health because you, in a group scenario, you're going to be the person who tries to be the focus of the aggression, the aggro, and take all the damage and not die from that, so the rest of your team can just focus on dealing damage. So basically, tanks will often have really high health and like heavy armor so they can withstand a lot of attacks. And often, at least in the games I've played a tank, it's important if you have something called a taunt, which is basically something that if the aggro of the boss or a hard mob gets switched to someone else on the team, they can the tank can taunt them to then regain the aggro. Because sometimes, like at least in Elder Scrolls, in like dungeons, the tank would truly be like the only person who could survive certain hits from a boss, so they have to make sure they maintain the aggro.
Maintain the aggro.
You're so right. You're so right. Okay, so that's a tank. Okay, so this one is semi-related. So a tank may be a member of a bug.
Bug. this makes it sound to me like a bug is an acronym that would refer to a group of players playing together. But now I'm just trying to think of what the acronym could be.
The G is group. Group. I feel like you got that.
Yeah.
So I'll give you that. Do you want me to give you like another little hint on where you could?
Sure.
Or do you want me to tell you what the acronym is and then you fill in the blanks, or
Like fill in the blanks by saying
what it could be?
Sure.
Okay, so PUG stands for Pick Up Group. Pick Up Group. And there is always a little bit of a risk doing a pickup group. And especially for certain like harder content, you could really get unlucky.
Okay. I'm thinking that maybe this is a group that you play with, that it's not always just your friends or people you know, like you pick up random people from all over the internet and you might get stuck with someone who sucks.
Yes, exactly. That is a pickup group. So basically when you're doing like an online game and you like just go into the random group generator to complete some sort of mission or quest or dungeon or a raid, that's a pickup group, a bug. Yeah. And you can get an uncommon complaint. Again, I feel like most of these terms I learned from Elder Scrolls Online because I played that intensely for the first bit of the pandemic. And a common complaint in that game, if you go for a bug, like a pickup group, I'm not quite sure how it's used like in a sentence, but for a dungeon, if you do a random, you don't know the people, is you get fake tanks who aren't actually tanky and like don't have taunts. So that's a common complaint sometimes.
No fake tanks.
Get that embroidered and put it on the wall. No fake tanks here. This next one, I feel like could be easy, but also who knows? It is skin. Skin. Just skin. And this is something that, like something for your character.
But it's not their skin.
Kind of.
You need to decide if they have like skin or fur or scales. I'm just thinking of when we created the D&D characters and it, like that kind of vibe.
I mean, kind of.
Or is this their armor?
It could be either, honestly.
Okay.
Basically, a skin. When I think of a skin, it's basically something that, like, you make your original character, and that's who they are. And then a skin is something you can then get to put on your character.
Like clothing.
Yeah, sometimes it'll be like an outfit, sometimes it will be like tattoos or something. Like basically anything aesthetic that changes the appearance of your character that you can usually get. Like, you can sometimes just purchase them with actual money, or like do it from completing some achievement, and then you'll get a skin as a reward. So yeah, I realized I'm like, this one might be easy, but also it's just the word skin.
Okay. This one you know.
GG.
Good game.
What about DYSMFGG?
DYSMFGG. imagine it like you have to say it really fast and like kind of like slur it together. Like, thank you so much for your game. Thank you so much for your game.
So, is this a common thing? You know how at the end of soccer games you'd have to shake everyone's hand and say good game? This is like the gamer version of that.
Yes. Yeah. I feel like, and again, it really depends on what game you're playing and kind of like the gamer culture in that game. But for Elder Scrolls Online, like it's very common at the end of a dungeon, you'll have people type in the chat being like GG or what is it? TYSMFGG. But I feel like in games like, I don't really play first-person shooter games, but I doubt you'd get the same that kind of thing in that it's only in certain gaming cultures. But yeah. Okay, this one is another acronym, and it is AFK. 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 I feel like this might not be exclusive to gaming, like, but also maybe it is. I'm just thinking it's something that I can imagine that since people are working from home more, it could pop up in those scenarios too. Maybe.
What is the K?
Keyboard. Do you want to know like a scenario that? Sure. Okay, so once again, this is an Elder Scrolls Online. I had someone report me in a battleground because they thought I was AFK, but I was really just eating a snack for like 2 seconds and then started playing.
Absent from keyboard.
Yeah, away from keyboard.
Away from
Yeah.
keyboard.
So that's
Okay.
okay. So this one, like kiting, is another strategy that players can use, and it is called camping. 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 And this one is, I feel like
Could you use it in a sentence?
I'm trying to think of something slightly more specific that could help you. A noob, just got ganked in this area of this game.
Foiled or defeated?
In a way, so getting ganked is, I'll just tell you because I feel like this one's tough. So it's basically when multiple, like real people players, team up and attack a single person.
On you and shank you.
Yeah, they gank you. Yes. So basically, it's usually like unwanted or surprising, and often done to like lower level people, but not necessarily. Like I've definitely been ganked, I guess, in Elden Ring, but I guess the way the invasion system in Elden Ring, where you can invade like other real world players, is you can only invade worlds which people already have like friends playing in their world. But some people will, you know, have their friends in their world hoping to get invaded by people so that they can kind of in return gank them. But also I don't know if that's considered ganking because it's like you're the single person, you're still invading them. So I don't know, but yeah. Some people definitely like to get like true gank setups where they'll like each have a certain role and like they'll really get like maniacal about it.
Could someone be the tank of the gank?
Probably. I've never ganked anybody, but I think so. That would make sense. Like kind of like the decoy. Totally, yeah. Wow. You're learning. You're gonna have all these new words to tell your friends. Okay. Next one is another acronym, AOE. AOE, and it stands for Area of Effect. Area of Effect.
Could this be if you have some kind of like special skill or power or asset of some kind that only comes into effect in certain regions of the world of the game?
So basically, like, an AoE is generally like, as opposed to a type of damage, ability, or you know, something like that that only hits a single target, it'll be like an area. It'll hit any target within that area. So if you have a large group of mobs, sometimes it can be more effective to use an AoE attack as opposed to doing the single target damage. So, yeah. That is AoE. Nice. Next up, this one is an acronym that I think you should get. Just PvP. PvP.
I've definitely heard this before, but that doesn't mean I remember it. Player vantage point.
No. You got the first thing correct.
Player.
And a gank could be an instance of PvP.
basically, if something is being patched, then a nerf would, like something appears in the game that you think is useful or effective, but it's actually, like, it's not substantive anymore, like kind of glitchy or not appearing, like not existing in its like form or range as you might assume it would.
You're kind of getting there.
Okay.
Here's another hint. Something that is OP may be nerfed in a patch by game developers.
Overpowered. It might, if it's nerfed, it's weaker.
Yeah. So basically, if something is nerfed, it'll be adjusted so it isn't as strong because maybe it wasn't balanced before.
Okay.
So it's like the game
So it'll be
developer.
easier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it'll be easier, or maybe do less damage than it did. Something, it'll be changed in a way to make it less. Like it might have been a little too good before, so it'll be nerfed.
And then buffed is the opposite. They'll make it stronger, more difficult.
Yeah. And then sometimes a buff also can refer to just like a ability or something you apply that temporarily makes you stronger or gives you some sort of benefit. But when we're talking about buff in reference to nerf, that's what it would mean. If you're talking about a buff as an ability that makes you stronger temporarily, the opposite of which is a debuff. Okay, this next one is pretty funny, and I might just have to tell you what it is, but I'll give you a clue. So the word is smurf. Smurf. So, I am not skilled enough to build a smurf character. I'm not good enough at any game. But basically, this is something that higher level people or like more experienced players in a certain game may do. They might make a smurf character to troll around in PvP scenarios.
Player versus player scenarios.
Bingo. We just took a laugh break because you just pointed out the ridiculousness of the sentence. Create a smurf to troll around. Create a smurf to troll around. It makes complete sense to me, but it sounds so stupid.
sensing their superior skill level. Is there any like aesthetic way of identifying a Smurf, or is it mostly just?
I think it's just the skills.
Okay.
Yeah. I know sometimes I think this is called twinking, when I think it's often for smurfing and on a different account in the same game that you have, where you have these high level items and then you gift them to your low level characters. So then a low level character will have a high level weapon that there's no way they could have gotten just because they gifted them, and that's called twinking, I think. So, yeah.
So moving on from that, we next have carry. Carry. So this is often a term used in a group scenario as well, where perhaps someone in the group will carry the rest of the group, or you could say like be a carry. And in some cases in games, people will sell carries for either real world money or in-game money. They'll sell carries for certain achievements and things like that.
Like sell other people in their group who are the carry.
No.
Oh, carry is a verb.
Someone will offer to carry people through certain things for money.
Is this like a higher level person who goes back to lower levels and like helps you, like someone who doesn't like possess the skill or ability to do something, like helps them through certain challenges and in
Pretty much. Yeah, pretty much. It's usually going to be high level people. I suppose it doesn't have to, but it's basically like, I'll carry you through this content. I did most of the work, like I did most of the damage, like I don't really even need you to be here, but you can come along for the experience bet you loved the agriculture moment. So the next term is farming.
But it's not actually farming. Not actual farming, no.
So farming is a thing you can do in games, often kind of passively. So I know sometimes if I want to farm a certain area of a game, I'll watch like YouTube videos or watch some ASMR while doing it. So think about what sort of things you could farm in a video game.
The amount of hours played. Like, do you mean you passively are in the game without really playing because you gain some benefit by just being logged in?
No, but you're kind of close. Usually it's not for hours. Sometimes it'll take hours, but basically if, like, experience points, you might farm experience points. Basically, it's when you do, like, repeatedly the same quest, or you fight all the mobs in an area looking for the experience points or the rewards. Like, for example, in Elden Ring, if you really want a certain set of armor and only one enemy has the potential to drop it, you might reload and do that enemy, or enemy in a range of area. If there's a few of them, you might just go through and defeat each one over and over again until you get to that armor piece you were looking for. So you can farm that armor piece.
Is this at all related to, I just remember there was a period of time where you said you always had to get your daily, like something.
Daily login bonus.
Yeah.
Not really,
Different thing.
but like kind of. Like in Elder Scrolls, in that game, I would do like certain group dungeons again and again because they had the chance, any enemy in there had the chance to drop a piece of a pet, and once you collected every piece, you would get that pet. And so I would farm that dungeon to get this reward, to get all the pieces of the pet, and then have the pet. But you can farm really anything, like any achievement or reward or drop or just experience points if you want to
sprinkle some of this fresh new vocab into my daily interactions.
I'll have to quiz you the rest of the week you're here. Just be like, okay, what's a Smurf?
Smurf is high-level person who goes back and will just troll on inexperienced players in lower levels. By fighting them,
By making a low-level character yourself.
oh yeah.
Well, thank you for doing this. I had fun. I think this was a lot of fun, and
I hope you're not judging